Hey guys, it's Scorpso3 here. Welcome back to another video. Today, we will be talking about, well, we'll be talking about Bitcoin and the future of Bitcoin. Now, obviously, it's a touchy subject right now due to the fact that Bitcoin's price is crashing, and that is something that we will talk about. But we will just have a little bit of a discussion about the price of Bitcoin, but also the value and the purpose of Bitcoin and what it was created for. And does that even make sense today? Let's get into it. Okay, guys, so just first of all, I am not a financial advisor, okay? I'm an amateur investor at best. I am a little bit of a stoic. I do not usually follow the crowd, and I have an open mind. So I'm open to a lot of different things. So, not financial advice. Everyone has a different financial situation. So, take what I say with a grain of salt. And also just understand that what is right for me may not be right for you. And these thoughts of mine may not even be the same as yours. And that's fine. We live in my world, we live in a freedom of speech world. So just remember that nothing you say is wrong. You're fully welcome to your own opinion. So let's get into it. Okay. So let's have a little bit of a backstory about Bitcoin. Now, this is important and it'll be very brief. And it's mainly due to you need to understand why Bitcoin was created in the first place. So, Bitcoin was created just after the great financial crisis of 2008. We call it great, but it was overted by a lot of money printing, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. And honestly, that crash should have been a lot heavier and harder than it was. But due to the Federal Reserve coming in and backstopping the market, that pretty much saved everyone at the time, more like kick the can down the road. But yeah, Bitcoin was created just after the great financial crisis, after the pain of that. And it was created as another form of transferring value, whether that's money or whatever it may be, to another person, independently of a Federal Reserve or independently of banks. That is exactly what it was created for, with no overarching control, is the main thing. There was nothing controlling Bitcoin except for the network that it is applied to. Bitcoin was created because of the monetary mismanagement, which was foreseen, and that was why it was created, to be a fully independent system. Okay, so fast forward to today. That was 2008, 2009. What I'm starting to see in this market, especially with Bitcoin crashing and falling off a cliff virtually, it's now 70, 80% off its all-time highs. So it's had a huge crash. But what I'm seeing in this market is I think that people may have forgotten Bitcoin's reason for existing. Everyone got caught up in the hype, caught up in the I'm going to make a heap of money and I'm going to leverage and go out on the risk curve and go into debt to buy Bitcoin, and that's what I'm going to do. And they've forgotten about the purpose of Bitcoin, which was to be totally independent of money mismanagement, right? Okay, so let's have a look at some of the facts and see if Bitcoin is it still a thing of value today? Has anything changed since 2008? So since 2008, the government and the RBA, they've printed a hell of a lot of money. Even in the years before the virus, they printed a heap of money. They had issues with the repo market, which we won't go into, but they had financial issues before going into the virus. Okay. Then ever since the virus, there's been a ton of money printed, especially in America, which I heard, don't quote me on this, but I heard that they printed more money in a year than they did in the last 100 years. Now, I don't know how much money that is, but that is out of control, right? So the mismanagement of money is still there. Nothing has changed. So, and I think another issue with all this printing of money, the everyday investor, they've grown accustomed to this, right? They've grown accustomed to always having a backstop, always having the Federal Reserve or a central bank come in and save the day when things go wrong. But now it's changed. And we'll talk about that in a minute. And that's because of inflation. All this money printing by the central bank, is now turning into inflation. It's now turning into an excess of money floating around in the system. Now it's causing issue with price rises and people not being able to afford things. So when we talk about mismanagement of money, when you print 100 years worth of money in a year, like, what do you think's going to happen? Of course the prices are going to rise of things because there's so much more money out there. The money is losing value. So that's interesting. And the everyday investor, I think, got used to the easing of money and the printing of money, which we saw in the stock market that went ballistic over that time of just after COVID, after a big crash. People started going way out on the risk curve, way out. They started investing in things that probably didn't have value or weren't worth the value because they were expecting profits, right? They thought they had a backstop. So now we have inflation. And now the RBA is going, okay, well, geez, we better do something about this because we don't want to look like we're doing nothing. So now we have to raise interest rates. And that is going to cause a lot of problems for people who bought houses, for people who have a lot of debt, because they've gone out on this risk curve. And now all of a sudden, if we don't get rid of these assets that we bought, we are going to lose massively. So now you get a big contraction of stocks, of Bitcoin, of everything, because people are coming back to go, oh God, well, now we need to get some liquidity so we can pay for our bills, so we can pay for the everyday things that we need or whatever it may be. They're going into security, right? And one thing that hasn't happened yet, and this is one of the things that I think will change the way that the RBA are thinking, or the way that the Federal Reserve or the central banks around the world are thinking, is that I think they understand that the debt of their country is huge. Like America's debt, I think, don't quote me on this, but I think it's like 120% of GDP. That is massive. Massive. And if you start to raise interest rates in conditions like that, what you're gonna find out is that when you raise interest rates, the cost of debt increases, right? And when you are so far in debt, you could absolutely destroy your currency. The value and the confidence in your currency, you could destroy that. And particularly in America's position, where they are the world reserve currency, if you're going to raise interest rates heavily, you could literally destroy your currency. And that would be catastrophic, not just for America, but for the world. So that's something to think about. They're raising interest rates in a terrible situation, which they pretty much put themselves in. So, you may see that a lot of countries, many countries that are heavily in debt, that have to raise interest rates due to inflation, they could default. Countries could default on their debt. And we've already seen it. Zimbabwe, I'm pretty sure. Turkey's not far off, or they may have already. Italy were very close. And I can't help but think that the Western world is probably going to be next, because we are one of the most indebted. So, all those facts aside, I can only see the next question would be, like, what happens next? And to be honest, there's no easy answer here. And this is my just thoughts going out there, because I'm not an economist, okay? I read books, I watch YouTube videos, I come to my own conclusions about what's happening. So these are just my thoughts, not anyone else's. I just can't see any other way right now. And these are the 4 things. Okay, the 4 things that I can see that may be the outcome. And I've racked my brain for a long time over this, and I wish there was other ways, but this is what I can see. Okay, so I can only see these outcomes. Number one, the Fed continues to raise rates, and this causes hurt for a lot of people. Think home mortgages, think credit card debt, think of any type of debt that you may have, right? And if they raise interest rates for too long and they keep going, people will default on their debts. There'll be a lot of pain for the world, or for America to start off with, and then incumbent the world, or anyone who's attached to the US monetary system, which is a lot of countries. And there'll be a lot of pain for the everyday person. Anyone who's in too much debt that can't afford it, or even doesn't have a lot of cash flow, you could be in for a lot of pain. So if they do continue to raise rates and don't worry about it, the country's debt will become unserviceable. People will lose faith in the US dollar, lose confidence. And that's the worst thing that could happen to any currency, right? So what happens? The US dollar loses reserve currency. I would say that you would have social unrest at that point, because people would lose faith, or people wouldn't lose faith, but people would be in such a bad financial position that they would probably lose their homes, and it would be devastating. You could have potential poverty and probably social unrest at that stage. So that's number one. Number two is the Fed changes course. Okay, they pause raising interest rates, or they lower interest rates and kind of come back to where they were. And that would mainly be because either it's getting political, more than likely, the political pressure, or the social unrest becomes too much and they see what they're doing to society and they have to come back. And they go back to printing money, which could happen as well. And what happens there is that they'll just kick the can down the road for a bit longer. And people will eventually, if they keep printing money, and they will see, like, people are not stupid. They will see that the central banks have no idea what they're doing. I mean, a lot of people know that already. And I don't know if they have no idea what they're doing, but they haven't been right in many or any of their inflation expectations. They haven't had, I think there's been like one or two where they've been successful in the last 2 years, 3 years. So you can honestly say that if I guess 80% of the time I'm wrong, I probably have no idea what I'm doing. And I could be totally wrong about all this. So don't take it as gospel, just take it as the facts that I've seen, and it could be wrong. Make up your own mind. So they kick the can down the road a bit longer. People will lose confidence in the US dollar, and inflation will take over, and people will more than likely, eventually, will just rush to commodities and other payment methods because they will realize that their money is not worth anything, and they'll have to go and find another way to pay. And especially for payment systems that are not controlled by central banks, because they'll realize that, well, these guys can't manage money, so maybe I'll have to do that myself. Potentially. So what happens with that? The US dollar loses reserve currency and social unrest and potential poverty as well. Eventually, it may just take longer. Okay. Next one. Now, this is the worst one. You thought those two were bad? This is my third conclusion. And this is the one that scares me the most, and I would rather have the other two than have this one. This is number 3. This is the scariest outcome. All of this was done on purpose. All of it. So the printing of money, the making it easy for people, making people go out on the risk curve, and which is people's choice. Like, at the end of the day, it's your choice. If you go out on the risk curve so far and you think that you've got a backstop, well, that's you and your thoughts. So eventually, what would happen is everything comes crashing down. Either one of those first two things happen, right? Massive inflation or the massive devaluation of currency. People lose value, lose confidence in the dollars anyway, either way. And then all of a sudden, the magic pill comes in from the RBA, from central banks, from the Fed, whoever it may be. We are going to give everyone a certain amount of digital money. We're going to give you a free digital wallet, which you can download on your phone, and we will get you out of this situation. We will help you by giving you money, and then you can keep it on this digital wallet, and we will get you through this time with free money, universal basic income, whatever that may be, right? Now, all that sounds, how rosy does that sound? So someone's going to come in and save us. Oh my God, the government, aren't they the best? They're going to come in and just give us money so we can just survive and get through this really rough time. And it's emotional, right? You could have your family who are struggling. You could have your grandparents who need money. And people are going to come in and give you money to get through this, right? That's a big carrot. That's a big carrot, right? And you're going to go, yeah, okay, let's do this. 100%. Cost nothing. They're going to get us through this. And then when we get out the other side, we'll figure it out. Right? So they're going to give you a wallet. And this is going to be controlled by a central bank. Now, we've seen many videos online, and you can look it up, that the US are creating a central bank digital currency. China's already rolled theirs out, and other countries are looking to do the same. Australia, wouldn't surprise me if it's not far away. They're already trying to get people into digital identities. And what you'll find is that once you agree to having all your money supplied on a wallet, cash will be gone because people just won't have cash anymore. You know, unless you're stockpiling cash, you just won't have any. And if you have no other assets, like if you don't own gold, silver, Bitcoin, whatever it may be, if you don't hold any other assets, you'll need money. It's as simple as that. You'll probably need money. So every single person will get a wallet, and it'll be, funnily enough, controlled by a central bank or by the government, more than likely. Okay? This is the scariest part, is that the government will own you. They will own everything. They will be able to turn on and turn off money whenever you like, because they're not giving it to you for free. They're giving it to you for power, in a sense. And this could happen. It's hypothetical, right? All of this is hypothetical. Who knows what's coming? But something to think about, right? So they will effectively own you and your choices and what you make. Because like now, when you make a purchase, instead of your purchases going to the bank, it will go directly to the central bank. It will go to more than likely a government owned entity who can look through and see what you've been buying. And they could easily put, like, if you bought a packet of chips and the government didn't like the fact that you bought a packet of chips, or they can put an algorithm in there that says anyone who buys a packet of chips, cut their money off. If you buy unhealthy food, heaven forbid, if you go and buy, like, if you go to a hunting and fishing shop or something and you buy something that they don't like a fishing rod to feed your family with fish, they're like, no, you can't do that. You got to use our money. They could just turn the money off. You could walk into that store, tap your brand new wallet on your phone, and it won't work. And they won't let you buy at a shop. Like, everything, absolutely everything will be managed by a central bank or a government. Is that something that you guys want? But you got to look at that, because this is in the works. Like, whether it comes through all of these issues or none of these issues, it's eventually going to go this way. And I think governments understand that fear, and the media understand that fear creates change. The more you watch the fear, the more you're going to change. So you take your digital money, you take your digital wallet, and you go, yes, I've got money, I can get through this. You may have survived, but you've lost everything. You've lost your power of choice. You've lost your ability to make money and to be wealthy. You've lost your ability to have everyday life and freedom. It's gone. And it's really ultimate control. There's no way back other than assets. Buying assets that aren't digitally controlled, which you won't be able to do because all you'll have is digital money controlled by someone else. So unless you barter with things that you have for other things, it's gone. Now that scares the hell out of me. That is the worst case scenario for me. And yeah, I really think that people should understand this and just understand it when the time comes. Yeah, you have to make a choice. And that could be the hardest choice that you ever have to make. And there's one more option. One more option, my friends. And this comes back to Bitcoin. Okay? So, say the top two things happen. Interest rates, they just keep rising them until everyone can't afford their debts and then they have to default. Right? Mortgage gone, house gone. The central bank comes in and goes, well, we'll give you money. But then maybe you have another choice. And that would be other assets. It could be Bitcoin, could be gold, could be silver, could be tulips, who knows? But either way, it's not controlled by a government, right? You have a choice now. And this is probably this could be the only other outcome. I'll be honest, I can't see any other good outcome here. So number 4, people no longer trust the government or the central bank money management, more than likely. And then they choose Bitcoin. The use case for Bitcoin is still there. Nothing's changed out of all of those things. The only thing that's happened is it's all been kicked the can down the road further. And now it's coming home to roost right now with inflation and all these issues, right? So people choose Bitcoin as a method of payment, as a method of value. It's not controlled by governments or central banks. You can go peer-to-peer money, bang, right? Totally independent. Or you could use sharing services. I could service someone's car and someone could give me bread or whatever the hell it may be. You could get you could go and barter your services. You could do that and actually have a free market once again. You're free to make money. You're free to work harder and get paid more and feel like you have a purpose in life. True. So, and as Bitcoin's decentralized, like I just said, when people realize that, oh, well, hang on a minute, I can still have money and I can still earn money and I can still go and spend it and I'm in control and I can make my own choices with what I want to buy and I have life and freedom back. I would like to think that people would go to Bitcoin or to any other decentralized currency, whatever it is at the time. And I think it's not that far away. The learning curve for people who don't understand Bitcoin right now, I suggest that you start learning. And you don't have to learn how it works or any about all the details. What you do need to understand is that it's another form of payment that's not controlled by a central bank or a government. And that could be your freedom for the rest of your life. Or for a certain amount of time until all this blows over. So, in conclusion, either way that we look at this, I can't see any of those being an easy path. And I'm been trying to rack my brain about how this is an easy path. The only thing that may be easy is if the central bank do come in with a digital currency. But you need to trust them. You need to trust the central bank that they're going to protect your privacy, that they are going to give you the choice and they're not going to use it for their own power. And we've seen it where I live, particularly, that you can't trust your government. I mean, there's many reasons for this, and you just can't. So I can't trust them enough to go, yeah, I'll take your free money, knowing damn well of what could happen. So you just need to understand that this is not an easy path. None of these 4 options are an easy path. It's going to get worse before it gets better if it goes this path. And the ability to be self-sufficient could be life or death. Like, it literally could be. Like it's the most important ability that you have right now, is to try and be as self-sufficient as possible. Don't rely on debt. Don't rely on money, the fiat currency that we have right now. So I hope you guys found this video of value. Like and subscribe if you have, and if you'd like to see a bit more, because I talk about a lot of random things, right? I try to just put things in perspective for people. I've had a lot of bad experiences in my life, and like most people have, but I really do think about these issues that have happened in my life, and I want to help others with these. So I hope it's a value. I hope you guys have a great day. I'm sorry this video was a bit of a downer, but there really isn't a good way to sort of talk about this, because from what I can see, there's no easy way. And if you have a better way, if you think that that there is something else out there that could avoid these issues, I would love to hear it. I'm open-minded. I would love to hear it. Throw it down in the comments for sure. And you guys have the best day. Stay safe. Get self-sufficient. And I'll talk to you in the next one. Peace.